Visual effects started in the 19th century with visual magics, starting from traditional based techniques. 100 years later in its history, VFX has resorted to digital based techniques in the modern era. VFX has achieved plenty of milestones over the 2 centuries. The first motion picture to use visual effects was Four Heads Are Better Than One, aka On Homme de Têtes in French, directed by Georges Méliès, used matte creations to use visual trickery against the audience. Georges Méliès also went on to create a motion picture that used stop motion animation, The Astronomer's Dream. This motion picture also used visual trickery. Georges Méliès is known as the master of illusion in the VFX industry. Moving on, I will be talking about matte paintings. Evolving the visual trickery, films and motion pictures would see the start of the matte painting technique to fake in realism shots. In the 1900s to the 1910s, the glass shot technique helped create matte paintings. This technique would go to be refined by Norman Dawn. Matte paintings are also budget efficient. You can create the realistic buildings by replacing them and implementing them into a scene. The matte painting concept would continue to be one of the most utilized VFX techniques in VFX as of today. Matte paintings had faced problems of its own. The technique would go on to be evolved. The traveling matte technique would come into play by Frank Williams with the film Sunrise, directed by F.W. Murnau. The black matting process would be used as a black background. As for its characters, they would be the white silhouettes by creating high contrasts. One of the most famous matte painters, Peter Ellenshaw, created an incredible amount of traditional matte paintings. Matte paintings had been used for decades and evolved from traditional to digital. It has had quite an impact over the years. In 1925, there was an alternative to the black glass shot, the traveling matte process created by C. Dodge Dunning. The background would be done in blue and the subjects would be as yellow. This process would be used for the film King Kong. A major issue with blue screening was that it only worked for black and white film, whereas color film it did not work. They needed a new technique for color film, which was produced by Larry Butler in 1940 for the film The Thief of Baghdad. The process for blue screening is the free-strip Technicolor process. This removes the blue background but keeping the foreground plate, using negatives of the background plate by merging them into one. All this is done on an optical printer.
The next evolution to blue screen is the yellow screen. The yellow screen was an evolution from blue screen. This would have improvements for the matte painting and screening process.
The evolution from blue screen to green screen has seen developments and evolution throughout the decades. Films such as Godzilla, Apes, Tron, and the Star Wars franchise used traditional techniques in the original movies and then evolved into digital techniques in their recent movies. These movies have been around for a long time and have evolved, although they can still use traditional techniques in the modern era of film. For example, the Apes franchise uses motion tracking, and the motion tracking technique has been developed throughout its history. Rotoscoping has been around since 1915, created by an animator, Max Fleischer. Most known works are Betty Boop and Popeye the Sailor. The influence rotoscoping has had over the years has been useful to the digital modern era for VFX during the early 90s. With such impressive milestones regarding the most utilized skill and techniques, the techniques I have mentioned still have ways of being used in the digital era. Green screening is a method used for rendered backgrounds. Rotoscoping is used to trace a real-life person or moving object, and matte paintings can be used to create realistically impossible backgrounds from real life to use visual trickery.
As techniques still evolve and improve to this day, how will these techniques evolve and where are they going to in the future? For example, the screening technique is now starting to evolve into the volume technique, which is used in The Mandalorian. Volumes use real-time composition and will seem to be the case for upcoming TV shows and movies in the future.